Okay, we're live. I'm Joshua Kemble. I'm a freelance illustrator. I've been that for over 15 years. A graphic designer and a full-time art director in-house. And when I'm not, and I've been doing that for over like 7 years, going on my eighth year. And when I'm not doing all of that, like professionally, and not like watching over the kid and like hanging out with my wife or family, I am working on graphic novels like the ones that you can see listed below. I don't want to bother doing plugs and stuff like that because I'll be playing trailers throughout the stream. But if you're curious to kind of check out, the graphic novel that's coming out next month that you can pre-order. Just check the link below; it'll take you there. And then also my current graphic novel that's out already is linked down there as well. Two stories in Jacob's apartment. So that'll do it for kind of like my brief intro and stuff. And now we're going to kind of get into what this stream is going to consist of. So last time we were on stream, we basically worked on finishing up page 7 of Not Death But Love, the strange supernatural story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, created by my sister, Lavender Vroman, and myself. And she's written a script that's about the Brownings, and it's really cool and really exciting. And on these streams for like the last few weeks, I've been working on this book. Prior to that, I was working on Two Stories Book 2, which I'll get right back to once I am done with this book. But this book is crazy. It's like 230 pages that I need to get done in 365 days. And now we've, through these streams, knocked it down to 225 pages that I need to get done in about 365 days still. So, pretty good. I'm hoping we can kind of continue making progress and get through more pages. Today, what I plan on doing, we've already roughed out page 8. And today I want to get back on roughs rather than finals. So I'm going to thumbnail and work on page 9. So let's pull up the stream. But anyhow, this live stream is a way for you guys to kind of hang out, work on art with me. If you want, like, as pages come up where they require like heavy amounts of research, often we do them together as a community, which is pretty cool. So we've definitely had times on stream where somebody's like recommended a certain style of ship from the Victorian era that ended up actually making it onto the final comic page. And I'm just extremely excited about this. So this project. So anyhow, let's get into it, and I'll pull up the screen that we're all pretty familiar with. If you're newly joining, I'll walk you through how it works on the stream. And I will say at the top too, if you're watching this live, if you have any questions, feel free to throw a comment in the chat. If you have projects you're working on, let me know in the chat like what you guys are working on, where we can find your stuff and all that fun stuff. That being said, let's get into our regular view. So right here is our regular view. That's interesting. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. So this is my right side. It's basically a recto page. The verso page is the left side. So now that we're on an odd page, the odds are always gonna be on the right, and have the bleed on the right, and the even pages are always gonna have bleed on the left. It's important for me to kind of keep that organized because as we put the final book together, if you have pages on the wrong sides, or you don't have like your kind of things aligned and set up for print, like, and for bleed on the certain edges that need it, or safe areas where the safe areas need it, you end up in a real nightmare scenario when it comes to production. So we're trying to kind of avoid that. So anyhow, we got a blank page. That's a beautiful sight. Here I've already pulled up on a layer. I've basically just made a copy of the previous page, to just kind of like save us the time of doing all the setups and stuff like that, because we already have a right and a left template. Um, Now we're basically going to be looking at the next sequence. So this was the last rough, which is basically like we've been introduced to 50 Wimple Street. Frank said, "Avoid who? What does that mean?" Anyhow, So how's it going, Frank? How are you doing, buddy? Anyhow, so basically we have I'm pretty excited about like the the thumbnail and the stage that we're at, and what we've got is we've got an introduction to 50 Wimple Street, where Robert has been let in by Elizabeth Barrett Browning's maid Wilson, and then basically in that case, Wilson lets him in. He's run in the room. That's the first panel here. She's looking through the window as a lookout as Robert goes up to Elizabeth, who's on the Chase Lounge in a room that we kind of did a bunch of research for on a previous page. Uh, Third panel, Keith said, Frank, I changed my profile picture. And then Frank also said, I was about to make a reaction video on how Jake said I have to let people change my stories, but I'll listen to you instead. That's awesome. Um, I don't think you have to change your stories, but I also really enjoyed the conversation with Jake. Yeah. How are you feeling, by the way, Frank? I hope you're feeling better, buddy. Um, so okay, so then panel 4 is basically Robert. He's like petting Flush, her dog, their dog, soon to be their dog, but right now her dog. He looks down, notices that she has not touched her food, and now he's in concern, saying, "You look as worried as I imagine." And then she says, in a very Victorian romance kind of way, "How would you have me look?" And so now we're on to panel 9. So I'm really excited. Not panel 9, but page 9. So I'm going to kind of use this as a page that's going to be like kind of sitting there while I'm working. It's going to be like a reference that I can use as I'm working. So I can always refer to the previous page just so I'm remembering like Robert, like important things like Robert's on the left, Elizabeth's on the right. And at first, but then of course, actually throughout the sequence, it turns out Robert's on the right, Elizabeth's on the left, Wilson's left of Elizabeth. And so if I can kind of, as I'm structuring, because the next page, and we'll kind of get to that in a second, getting to the script. But as we thumbnail this out, I want to remember that generally a good rule of thumb is like trying to keep a line of action in a sequential piece for it to be coherent. And so, like, if I have a character that's on the left, generally I'm going to want, especially in a crowd scene or a conversation sequence, generally I'm going to want to keep the character framed on the left. If I have a character on the right, I'm generally going to want to keep them on the right. It's just a weird visual thing. It stems from film because a lot of it has to do with where the cameras are placed. The line of action, I think, is set so that you can have cameras moving without filming each other. So, like, let's say you're filming a conversation sequence, and you have a person on the left and a person on the right, and suddenly you move the line of action. It can actually be like detrimental for the sequential scene, but it also turns out to be a really healthy rule for keeping a coherent scene that feels like it's in the same timeline. For some reason, we like if we filmed like a conversation between me and Frank, if I was on the left and he was on the right and we move the camera around, as long as I stay on the left and he stays on the right, unless we do the complete opposite shot, we subconsciously, just as human beings, read that as the same timeline. The second you flip it without showing the direct inverse shot, it makes it feel like time has passed, like some kind of thing, strange thing with time has happened. So anyhow, we don't want that. So I'm going to keep that in mind. And that's why I keep like previous pages as well as like costume work, the scenery, all of that is already kind of laid out there for me. So why do 10 times the work? Okay, let's get into this. This is going to be an interesting thing because I think I'm also going to get into Wally Wood's panels that always work. And I'm probably going to look it up again because I used to have a printout of that like right above my computer, but I don't. So what we'll do is Google it, and then I'm going to drag a JPEG of that on here too. So I have that to reference because I have a big conversation scene coming up. And honestly, one of the hardest things with long conversation scenes is making it interesting. So here we go. Also, there's a bunch of fun stuff in the chats. Frank said, I'm good. I just needed to sit up for a while and eat something. That's good. Keith said, now that you made me make the mini comics videos public, you should post it in the chat, Frank. Oh, cool. I want to see the mini comics, dude. And then he said, way ahead of you, Keith. Last time I mentioned Keith's collage blacklight mini comic. Oh, here's the playlist. Dude, I'm really excited about that. I'm going to actually have to check that out. Maybe I'll check that out after I finish this this thumbnail. It'd be cool if we could like thumbnail and rough a little more than just one page in this sitting. So we'll see. We have like, for me, this is my work time. So it's from 9 to about 2 in the morning. And that's kind of what I got. So I would have had all day today, but there was a family birthday party. And of course, like family is important. So I went to that and Ben had fun. And then it was like getting Ben prepped for like bedtime and all of that. But what was good was I managed to get a little bit of a nap today too. So I should be good to like kind of last and stay coherent till about 2 in the morning. Okay, and coffee helps. Okay, so let's get into the script and then we're going to kind of break it down in thumbnails. The neat thing is like whenever I'm doing, so I think how these streams are going to go is whenever I'm doing something that requires like a ton of concentration, like thumbnailing, roughing, that kind of thing, I probably will keep this as mostly a stream of just me kind of talking through it and interacting with the chats. I think when I'm at a point like, let's say I decide to finalize page 8, which was the previous one that we're kind of looking at a little miniature of. Once I decide to finalize that, when I'm doing flat colors or like rendering it out, it's like I think it went pretty well yesterday having a conversation while doing that. Um, and I feel like I can adjust to that and get used to like kind of having conversations while I'm doing that. And so those will be the streams where I'm able to have like guests on and friends on and stuff like that, which I think will work really well. And then of course, like as usual, I think a lot of the penciling I'll probably do off stream just because it requires so much focus and concentration that even trying to do the like chat and the like multi thinking thing, it all falls apart when I try that. Oh, cool. And then Frank sent the mini comics playlist to me in Messenger too, so I'll probably pull that up. I'm really excited about that. And then Frank also said I'll send it to Josh on Messenger so you don't have to scour the chat. Awesome. And then Frank also said, I have a direct line to Josh. That's true. Frank is a connected fellow. So, okay. And if you guys are bored just for fun, this morning I did like a little Elliott Smith cover on Instagram, just for fun. I just like picked up my acoustic, recorded it real quick. Nothing special, but I don't know. It's a good song. I probably butchered it. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it if you check it out or if you follow me on Instagram. And if you feel like I butchered a beautiful song, just comment that and be like, this is the worst cover I've ever heard of a really beautiful song. Okay, so page 9. Now we're going to get into the script and kind of let's see what we can do here. Okay, so page 9. Are you guys seeing this too? Hold on a second. Why is this? Okay, there's like a massive lag there in covering it. Okay. So Robert pulls a well-worn letter from his pocket. So when I'm doing thumbnails, initially what I'm going to do, and you guys have probably seen this process, is just make like a list. So I know it's nerdy and stuff like that, but I think when you're working from a script, it's always helpful to like list out like what do you need. So I'm thinking like 1 pulls. I'm going to just say R pulls letter. Look at my lovely, terrible writing. Okay, 2. I pictured you as I read it, brow furrowed, handshaking, spilling the. This is Robert's dialogue. You know what's terrible though? This might actually be 2 panels. It's not terrible, but So Robert's going to be pulling out a letter, and it needs to show that it's well worn, but we're not going to read the letter. But I'm like, the action of pulling out a letter, I guess I could kind of have him like it's going to be inside his coat pocket, because I think back in the Victorian era they didn't have like outside pockets on a lot of their coats, so it's like that inside pocket. So he's going to be pulling it out of there. So I'm thinking about it just sequentially. That if you're kind of half pulling out a letter and you're saying, I pictured you as I read it, like, right, that's not going to be enough. So it needs to be that, and then maybe an unfolded letter. So we see like that sequence. So I am thinking 2 small panels. Okay. And then it says, Robert, I pictured you as I read it, brow furrowed, hand shaking, spilling the ink, Wilson fussing, and Flush quite perplexed. I like the fact that he mentions Wilson and Flush, and I kind of want them in it. So like maybe this could be like an overhead, an overhead shot of R and Elizabeth. I'm just Robert Browning is going to be R, Elizabeth Barrett Browning will be EBB, Wilson will be W, and Flush is going to be W. Or Flush is going to be F. Oh my gosh, my brain is falling behind. My voice is falling behind my brain. Okay. So this is going to be, I think, both dialogues. Both R and E, B, B dialogue. Okay, 3 is going to be, so that's going to be, these 2 are going to be panel 3. Panel 4 could be a close-up. 2 and 3. Sorry, I'm going to just correct this a little bit. 4 is going to be a close-up of Elizabeth, or a close-up of Robert. Let me read what he's going to be saying. So I'm thinking that's going to say, when has the tyrant declared you must go? And this is giving you a hint as to like the content of this letter. The next is going to say Elizabeth. I like the idea of 5 being a close-up of Elizabeth. I can only afford 2 close-ups here, though, because what you don't want, at least what I don't want, is like 10 panels that are just close-up shots of people's heads during a conversation. That becomes the floating head problem and conundrum. And if you guys can in chat, once I'm done making this list, just remind me to pull up Wally Wood's 22 panels that always work. And put it on the side too, so that's like a visual reminder not to get boring with my paneling when it comes to sequences, because it's tempting when you're doing a comic that's a conversation sequence to just do this, where it's like you have your one character and then they're saying something like blah blah blah, and then you have another character and they're saying something like blah blah blah, right? And then it just continues to be that. That is what they call floating heads, because it's just a bunch of heads over and over again. Can you imagine how boring that becomes? Where you're like, I don't like floating heads. Okay, now I'm just having too much fun with this this bad diagram. But I'm just saying that's something to try to avoid in comics. I've definitely had a floating head thing, and every once in a while you need to have it. Like Jacob's Apartment has a lot of conversation sequences, and there are close-ups of people's heads as they're talking. But you want to do it with skill and tact and intention, right? So this is going to be my close-up of Robert. He's going to be saying, when has the tyrant declared you must go? And then it's going to be a close-up of Elizabeth saying, As soon as possible, George has gone to take a house in Dover. Father says we must join him as soon as arrangements are made. Now, here's a nice thing, too. There's a lot of text on this page, which means less drawing for me. I will take it. Okay. Now, 6 is going to be, I think, oh my goodness, what is going on with my computer here? Okay. It was still stuck from the previous thing. So 6, I think, is going to be this, why the devil now? So that'll be 6. And I think 6 should actually be a mid shot of Robert and Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And that'll be these 2 lines of dialogue. Robert saying, "Why the devil now?" And Elizabeth is saying, "I have been puzzling over it. Why did we not go in summer when the heat was unbearable here? Do you think he suspects?" And then this will be number 7, possibly. We'll figure it out. This could be 7 or 8 panels. It really depends on how we want to do this. But to me, I think I want this to be like an embrace, almost like a kind of closer Robert and EBB closer to each other. So this is like creating like romantic tension. They're about to elope, basically. And I'm going to have them say, then it's going to say, "Let him suspect, but what of our plans? They will have to wait, unless, Robert, you must decide for both of us." So I want like a lot of tension in that last panel. Tension. Mid shot is going to be suspense. I'm just trying to kind of think this out. The close-ups are going to be intense. Both R and BB, this is sympathy. And the first one is just going to be action. Insert. So like even in this, like that first 2 panels, this might be 1 and 2. So this is going to be interesting. It might be an 8-panel page. I think an 8-panel page might be the way to do it. So now we're going to get into the structure in the thumbnail. But again, when I start this off, I want to make sure I'm breaking it down. Oh, great. Frank just said, "I listened to Elliott Smith's Angelus and your rendition." Okay, I want you to riff on it, man. Razz me. Tell me in the chats, Frank, how terrible it is. Okay, so Keith Harper said, "Yeah, the 180 rule in film." Yeah, and it's a good rule for comics. Like that's the don't cross the line of action. The 180 rule. That's the if you show person on the left and the right, you can't flip it unless you do a complete 180. And it's a good rule in comics. You don't have to abide by it, but it's smart to abide by it. It really helps sequences go really. I love it. Let's see here. Love and Rockets are good comics for dialogue layouts. That's true, man. I agree. Those are great. That was good, Frank. Frank just said, "My mom said if I have nothing nice to say, then I shouldn't say anything at all." And I've noticed that Frank has not said anything about my cover. So now I'm going to go cry in the corner. Okay. So, okay. So we're going to do, let's see what we can do here. Okay. I'm going to find, let's see. I might not have this kind of saved up. Like I had a really nice, kind of screen share going, but I have to reset it up here so that we can kind of see what we're searching for. I just have to figure out how to kind of set that up real quick. I think this would be it. Can Can you guys see that? Nope. Okay. We need to search for Wally Wood 22 panels. And then once I do that, I'm going to see if I can get our little search bar going. Okay. My goodness. There we go. Do you guys see that? Can you actually, I hope you guys can see that wonderful, beautiful business there. Okay. We're going to go here and we're going to just, I mean, this is all over the internet. It's an incredible resource that like anybody doing comics should do. I like that Frank maliciously laughed, going hee hee hee. But I feel like Frank should laugh. That should be more like a mwah ha 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 ha. Um, okay, so here we go. So that's going to be our other reference. Now, this isn't perfect, you know, but it's going to be really super helpful when it comes to framing. It's just a reminder to kind of like try to make things interesting and intense. This just shows you like a billion options that aren't just floating heads. Like if you're gonna do a head, maybe you do an extreme close up, that kind of thing. It's good to know. It's good to have, and that's great. Jim said, "Thanks for letting us crash the party last night. It was fun. It was. There ain't no party like a Jim crashing a house party. You brought the party, Jim. You brought it, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate you." Okay. So, I sound so corny today. I appreciate you, Jim. You're very appreciated. Oh, there we go. And then Frank just did the mwahaha. I gotta share this because that is an excellent evil laugh. Do you see that, you guys? I like that. And then Frank said, "Wait, Jim was on? I would have joined." Again, Frank, you're killing my heart here. You're killing it. Killing me softly with your words. Okay. So here we go. Let's get into the thumbnail for this scene and let's like really work this out. Um Again, now we're doing a thumbnail. So thumbnails are not as like finished or finalized as like the thing you're seeing on the bottom right there, that's like a final rough, right? That's one step before finish for me. But right now I'm not even there yet. We're just gonna do some like insert sequences. And I just said insert sequences, which is the first panels I need to do on my thumbnail. So we're kind of gonna work out like what do we want the layout to be. Okay, so here I want to have, okay, I'm gonna just sort of sketch it out. So let's see here. We have our page. Look at that beautiful, beautiful, just straight, amazing line there. Okay, so it's going to be Robert pulls out letter. So I like this, not this shot, but this shot. And I'm wondering if I should pull that angle a little bit. I like that idea. So maybe here is going to be like him. Here's going to be just like him reaching into his pocket. So now he's reaching into his pocket, right? And he's going to be looking down. So I want like his, maybe he's looking down. Maybe here we have some Bollywood framing there, you know, where you have like a good, we have EBB's head a little bit, and we might tilt it a little bit to make it more interesting. But then number 2 can be like, he's holding the page. That's going to be interesting. Okay, so again, we're going to have EBB's face in the foreground. And then we're going to have Robert kind of here, but now he's looking up, face up. is going to be holding the letter. It's going to be all scrumpled up. Scrumpled is the official term. I believe that if you look that up in the dictionary, it's going to say like that is officially what you call a letter, or scrumple stiltskin or something to that extent. I don't know. Nice. Frank said, I would have joined, but I was sleeping. That's true. This is true. Don't ask me how I know that, Frank, but I'm aware. Okay, so I'm joking. Okay, what do we have here? We have, okay, 1 is going to be Robert, 2 is him holding the letter, 3 is going to be the dialogue, the sympathy dialogue that we talked about. I pictured you, and that's a lot of text. Okay, and that was going to be an overhead shot. This is going to be interesting because I do want to kind of stick to a grid a little bit. Okay. Well, let's just work this out. Okay, I want these to be thinner. These are going to be thinner panels. So we're going to do a little bit of work to just kind of, again, these are thumbs, but I want to just kind of work it out, guys. Okay. So I want these to be real thin. And then this is going to be like a nice big panel. And that's going to be Robert. So it's going to have a lot of type. I pictured you as I read it, just furrowed, handshaking, spilling the ink, Wilson fussing, and Flush quite perplexed. And then I think it's going to have her saying, my goodness, let me see. Yes, okay. This is going to have the 2 realms of dialogue. So now we're going to have like a lot of text up here. That's a crap load of text. We're going to have Robert kind of, he's going to have like his hands out. He's upset. She's going to be like, are we going to see that angle? No. Okay. I want to think like the chase. Got it. Okay. The chase lounge. We're going to keep him on the right and her on the left this whole time, guys. So, okay. She's on the chase lounge. Just sort of there. And she's going to have her dialogue thing there. He's going to be here. Arms gesturing like, oh my goodness. No, that'll block the dog. I know it's funny. It's like, this is that part of the thing that really doesn't make sense to anyone except the artists. Maybe the dialogue will be somewhere else. Okay, so Elizabeth here. I want Wilson here. Wilson's gonna have her like, she's gonna be looking over now. She's gonna have her arm on her shoulder. She'll be here with her maid outfit or whatever. We're gonna have Elizabeth sort of here, but she's going to be arm over. Flush is going to be here. And then we're going to have Robert. Robert's going to be more foreground, but I like the idea of him being not like super intensely in the foreground. Here he's going to have an arm pointing to her and an arm pointing to Flush. And he's going to have like kind of a dramatic sort of move like that. And then we're going to have our thing there. Okay, and then here's where her dialogue will go, where she's going to be saying, I could hardly manage to write. Boom. Thumbnail going, guys. Paul Pate just joined and said, what's going on around here? Paul, we're thumbnailing some pages, guys. We're doing some exciting thumbnails of page 9 of a Victorian thing. By the way, this story could like instantly change gear and become like a spy thriller, because he did reach inside his coat, and like that is one of those moments of like, you know, who knows, maybe it'll introduce a weapon into the scenario, and now we have that tension throughout. But no, he's pulling out a love letter from his from his jacket. But you never know, those Victorian like jet ski riding figures from the first page might appear at any point in time as this is going. Okay. How's it going, Paul? How's your comic coming along? Paul, like, it looked like you were close to like I think you had finished your fantasy comic, which I'm kind of excited about, Paul. And you'll have to let us know when in fact, actually, whenever you're done with that and ready to release it, because it seems like you're going to do sequences of stories for a longer, bigger tail. But if you're going to release like a floppy or anything like that, let us know, Paul, and we'll have you on Artcasters or something to promote it. Okay. Elizabeth says, as soon as possible, George has gone to take a house in Dover. Dover. Wait, no. I skipped a line. Okay, it should be, now it's going to be the extreme close-up, right? So we have 1, 2, and 3. This is beautiful. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to do 4, which is going to be our both R and B dialogue. I like the idea of this being the big head. I really like the idea of the big head here. So this is going to be Robert. Robert's on the right, so he's going to be sort of angry a little bit when he's saying this. Okay. So this is Robert. He's got his beard. How close up do we want it to be? I don't know about, like, the one thing I don't like is having dialogue bubbles like overlap somebody's head. But so this is going to say, like, when has that tyrant declared you must go? Maybe to avoid that, because I feel like that's a cop out. Like, to me, when I see that, I hate to say it, but like when I see too much overlapping of like a physical head or something like that, to me that just shows that like the comic didn't plan for that space. So maybe we'll have, when has that tyrant declared you must go? And maybe it'll be more of like this kind of space, you know? And then maybe we can crop it a little bit more. We're working this out just compositionally. Okay, and then let's see. When is that? I'm gonna have him doing like the straight up it's gonna be corny, right? But I like extremes, especially with hand movement. So I'm gonna have him doing like the like this in the foreground, like, when has that tyrant? It's gonna be like lower, like he's like this. When? So that's what I'm thinking. So and then we're gonna have our type here, like when has that tyrant, and it's okay to cut off a speech bubble a little bit. So that's going to be our little space there. And again, if this is just looking like gibberish, that's okay. This is the thumbnail stage, right? In fact, I'm probably spending a little too much time on that, but whatever. Okay, so that's 3. Now it's going to be a close-up of EBB, and that's where I really do want to steal the eyes, and I don't mind a little bit of an overlap. Like, I love that. For drama, I think that's so good. Like that that idea of like a close up of her saying it. But then again, that's a crap load of type to have over that kind of a scene. But I do think that would be good. So that's the close up of Robert, intense. Got it. Okay. Close up, intense. I'm wondering 3-6. Now I'm just having a moment of thinking here. Yeah, I kind of like the idea of I like the idea of I kind of like the idea of that. That might be too crazy to do a close up, but I like the idea of it at least. Maybe we'll pull out of the close up a little bit. Maybe it'll be at least yeah. That'll be like at least the okay. So there we go. So then we're gonna have why the devil now? And then I have been puzzling over it. So this whole thing. This is an interesting layout conundrum, right? I don't want these to have too much real estate. But now I'm thinking for real estate, okay. Because then it's just going to be 2. Okay. So these are going to have to be a little more nuanced and interesting. Okay. So I'm going to have this is like a wider shot, and her dialogue is going to be here. But I do like the idea of it being kind of cut off, so it's just her face. So there we go. And then equally, I'm going to do this sequence. I don't like the tension there as much, so I'm going to kind of adjust that face where it's going to be more like him. Okay. And that shows a little more concern. So he's going to be having his like awesome Wolverine chops there. And then we're going to have that actually works really nice. Look at that for layout. I like that little flip. Now we're going to do something fun and make this a little less tall. So our thumbnail is starting to get there. Paul's saying, rock the thumbnails. Love letters are way more dramatic than weapons. I agree. People should write more love letters. Ooh, I hope that wasn't loud. I am having that problem where I gesture with my hands when I talk, and what I realize is every once in a while I'm like, smack, like just hitting the mic. So if you guys have those moments of just poof, sorry. Uh, Frank said, unloved letters can cut deeper than a knife. Oh, poor Frank. Like the unloved letter that you wrote, you failed to write. I guess unletters, no letters could be painful. The unloved letter that Frank gave me of my Elliott Smith cover broke my heart and soul, and I'll never play guitar again. Paul, this is hilarious. You'll get a kick out of this. anyhow, so I did a really bad Elliott Smith cover literally this morning. I just kind of like woke up and was like, I'm gonna record this because why not? And I haven't showered or anything yet. I'm just gonna pick up a guitar and play this thing. I mentioned it and I was joking people should razz me on Instagram about it. And the second I mentioned that, Frank was like, I checked it out on Instagram. I'm like, Frank, what did you think? And he was like, my mom said not to say anything negative to people if you don't like something. And he was like, so I have nothing to say. I thought that was great. Frank, you're a good dude. All right, so what do we got? Now we have two sequences we need. Let's go back to our notes. Where it's going to be the 6 is going to be a mid shot of Robert and Elizabeth, and I want this to feel suspenseful. So I'm going to have it. If I want it to feel suspenseful and it's a mid shot and the other one's going to pull in closer, we're going to have the kind of dramatic line of action. So I'm going to have her she's going to be here, right? And then I want like everything to be like very momentum based where we've got like again we're kind of creating some suspense. So this will be Elizabeth and this will be Robert. And we're going to see like his suit or whatever. And what is he saying here? Why the devil now? Oh, I got it. He's going to do a Sherlock Holmes move. So I'm going to have him like kind of going like this, like, why the, yeah, that would work. So he'll have like his arm out. Okay, there we go. I'm going to have like our backgrounds here and stuff. And then it'll say, why the devil now? And then she's going to have her dialogue tree here. And I like the idea of her having a last, no. If she does have a last thing here, no. Then we're going to do, this is a very busy page, but that's okay. So then the last part for the thumbnail is going to be let him suspect, but what of our plans? They will have to wait unless Robert must decide before us. And this one I wanted to have like romantic tension. So I'm going to look at Wally Woods again just to kind of get, you know what's weird? I almost think it should be like one of those. But you know, done in my own way. I think I'm gonna have it. So here's gonna be Robert just saying, "Let him suspect, but what of our plans or whatever." And then it'll be her very closely here. Okay, so then in order for this to work, we're going to have to do a little bit of reduction of their heads. Do. And that's okay because actually the height differential can be more like that. And then we're going to have let him suspect, like here it's let him suspect, but what are our plans? Doom. And then this is her saying, you know, they will have to wait unless, Robert, you must decide for us. And here will just be like more background elements and stuff like that. Okay, cool. We have it. rough. We have our thumbnail, right? We have a nice little thumbnail there. I'm feeling to make the tension a little better and the composition a little more interesting. I'm going to just mess with the sizes. This is where like digital is just amazing for kind of like being able to do a little bit of compositional messing. That's an official term too. The one thing I don't want to do is have it line up perfectly in the center because I feel like that'll make for a really boring page layout if you have just this big blank line down the center. So I think we can manage to do a little bit wider here, and obviously we'll work that out. I think this should be somewhat dead center, although he's going to be saying quite a lot more. So that means that she can be significantly less of the panel. That's great because that's going to create a little more movement on this page. Chikoom. And part of why you want to do this is you have a map when you do this, right? Yes, yes. Look at that. Now, this scene is going to have a lot more dialogue, so I think it's going to have to work almost in the reverse, where this will be almost the dominant frame, I guess. Whereas this should be... Oh, I know exactly what we're going to do. So this actually is going to need more dialogue anyway. So that will help us with the composition because we're going to do more of like that sort of situation with the individuals here. And then we're going to do this situation right here. All right. And what do you guys think? Kind of like a thumbnail situation going on here. Okay. I really like that. It creates like a step ladder. So we've got like a chikoom. This, let's just see if the shapes work. Something more like that. And I mean, obviously that's a little exaggerated, but that gives us a rough idea. Yeah, that's a pretty nice page. It's got a nice... Yes, okay. Thumbnail, check. Thumbnails of awesomeness are done. Now I'm gonna move my thumbnail here, and we're gonna kind of start our roughs, our very amazing roughs. But before we can get into the roughs, now we have all this like wonderful, important work done. You guys, we're doing important work. We're saving lives, making comic books for the world. And okay, so all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and promote a little bit because we're at about the hour mark, and it's a good place to take a quick break before we get into roughs. And the great thing about this is like all the research we need for this room, for the costumes, everything, it's done. So this is just going to be straight up drawing. But before we get into that, we are going to have a trailer. So I would like to ask those in the chats, which trailer would you guys prefer? Do you want to start off? Are you guys feeling like a 2 stories moment? Or are you feeling like you want to see a trailer for my upcoming graphic novel, Jacob's Apartment? Speak now or forever hold your peace. I'll give you about a few seconds on that. And I know there's a lag on StreamYard too, so I will wait just a tiny bit longer. Okay. Oh, Frank with the win. I appreciate that, Frank. All right, so we're gonna play Jacob's Apartment, and I will see you guys, and we're gonna knock out these roughs, which is pretty exciting because in theory, I'd like to get more than just the 1 page of roughs done today. But again, if it's 2 in the morning and I'm finishing up roughs, then obviously that won't be the case. We'll just have to kind of play it by ear. Okay, enough rambling. Let's give the people what they have asked for. Here is Jacob's Apartment trailer. Enjoy it, guys. Speak clearly, it seems that only in dreams can we these things we've seen and walk around breathing I don't know the part to play in this heart of mine. There's dissonant things, they split at the seams. All right, so we're ready and steady. I'm actually really excited about getting into these roughs. So we've got all our prep work done. I'm gonna go ahead and do some panel borders real quick. And since we basically made a copy of page, I think 7, because that was an odd page. We already have all the references from page 7, which might actually spare us a lot of work to kind of pulling in references and all that fun stuff. So it also could spare us a lot of work when it comes to thumbnailing the panel borders. I mean, why redo 50 times the work for no reason? So again, also just like on a deadline, shortcuts are much liked. So right now, all I need is just my thumbnail. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the visibility of this, which I'm going to call notes. So I don't forget what that layer is, hopefully. This one I'm going to call, we don't actually need that layer. So we're going to get rid of that. I'm going to have this one called thumb. And hopefully I don't think it's a literal thumb. Okay, and then here we're going to call this 22 panels. Always good to have whenever you're working on a dialogue sequence. I really recommend it. I would say don't bite it wholesale because there's a billion cartoonists who are aware of the 22 panels to the point where they've almost become a trope. So like use it as a loose guide, but it's great. I really do think I can't oversell how cool that is because it does give you like a bunch of little visual hints of like a setup. And then even the dialogue bubbles on his 22 panels. I think you just sketched this out for somebody in-house one day just to be like, hey, dude, if you want to make your floating head stuff a little more interesting, here's a way to do it. So that's good to have. But right now we're just doing panel borders. And this, again, that's going to be page 8, and that's already labeled. This I don't need. That's like a failed attempt. From I think a previous stream. Okay, so now we're going to kind of start getting to working out the weeds of this. I want these to be real long and thin, so I'm gonna just go ahead and adjust. We're just gonna go ahead and adjust this here, and work it over to here. I don't know if you guys like that. That's gonna be my new voice as I'm doing trailers. I'm just gonna kind of work them over very nicely. If I talked like that, would you guys listen to the stream? Is the question. I'm gonna just kind of move these over here. Okay. I don't know why I'm in a really goofy mood today, you guys. So you'll have to keep me in check in the chats. Make sure that I don't say anything ridiculous. Also, any questions, by the way? Also, if there are connectivity issues, let me know, because like this stream was delayed by like a few minutes. When I was about to go live, our internet literally died. Like, I had to like reboot our router. So anyhow, that being said, like there might be some sort of technical glitches or something like that. And if that's the case, don't be shy about letting me know in the chats. Hey, this isn't actually coming through or whatever. Okay, here's where I do want to see my extras because I have a center line there. That's going to be so helpful. A lot of this stuff we set up in previous streams, right? So I'm using my thumbnail. This is going to give me a rough guide. I also know that I want those to be a little shorter, so we'll kind of get into that. But I actually don't want these even. I want to kind of make a little bit more of a dynamic page here. So okay, we're gonna just kind of adjust this so that we have our template already there, and we can just work on our roughs within the frame itself and adjust it as need be as we go through it or whatever. And again, these are roughs, so I'm not like really worried about it being like perfect. It's just like to get all the map of the information that I need on the final. Okay. I do want a little bit of a stacking thing to happen, but first we're going to do the rest of the layout here. So this is going to be almost, it's almost there. I feel like for this to work, that actually could actually be it. Actually, guys, both actuallys. I will say for people who missed the stream yesterday, it was really hilarious and awesome. And it was rad having Jim and Paul on. I really appreciate those two dudes. They're good dudes. And there was a lot of funniness, like a lot of good bits actually that could come out of that. I feel like at some point I'm going to have to dip into, like, maybe that's what I'll do. I think that after I'm done with Not Death But Love, this Elizabeth Barrett Browning book, and then Two Stories Book 2, which should be about 2 years from now, I do think I should do an all ages thing that's a little more fun and silly and has like more like Monty Python-esque kind of humor to it. And I think that would be fun if live streams still exist at that time to do some live streams and kind of like almost like do it as like a writer's room kind of thing. Because there's so many bits that just came out of that would have been really funny comics. Okay. So now we're kind of creating a little more space. Don't want it too big. There we go. I want it to have like kind of a hierarchy where we're going from like relatively small to bigger panels. All right. Look at that. We've got our grid, or I should just say panel borders. Okay. So pretty cool. We got our thumbnail. Now for my thumbnail, I'm going to put it here. Pow, where I can kind of see it. And there's a couple things that we can do already that I don't think are going to require a ton of the references. Although I wonder if I still have Elizabeth, her face as like a reference in here, or if we're going to have to pull it up. Ed face idea. This might be... Okay. I think for the references here, okay, I've got it. I know exactly what we're going to do to kind of speed up that process to kind of gathering references. Okay, let's get our page 7 rough. No, page 6. No, page 8. I'm just going to keep guessing. Okay, yeah, that's what we need. Okay, so we have our page 8 rough. I'm going to get all of our references that are helpful from here. So I'm going to have page 8 open, and then we're going to basically flash back and forth. Look at our note. What is our note here? Our note is Robert pulls letter, small 2 panels, action, insert. Okay. We need Robert. So we're going to find our reference of Robert, not the Chase Lounge, right? Robert costume and Robert. We're going to drag that over. This is our Robert. He's going to have different costumes throughout this too, right? Okay, Robert and Robert costume. Let's drag that over. Shoop. Are we going to see any background in that? No, we aren't. So we just need Robert and his costume, which is actually a great band from the 1980s called Robert and His Costume. It's a cover band of The Cure. I'm here all night, guys, with my terrible jokes. Okay. So, got it. Okay. And then Elizabeth, it's just literally a profile of her face, so we don't need much for that. So let's go ahead and rock this this rough really quick. The only thing about this is going to be the pose, but I think I kind of worked that out in that thumbnail. So that should give us enough information. Okay. Make a new. This is going to be called rough. Roughs. Okay. Roughs. That's my dog's favorite stage of the art. Okay. I'm going to have Robert here. His head's over here. He's going to be looking down. Spine. Arm out. Here is going to be the letter jacket. Okay, and then Elizabeth. Okay. I just wanted to make sure we're having like an eye line thing. Although, is she going to be looking up at him or down at him? Which is more interesting? I think up at him is actually a lot more interesting. So we're creating like a... Okay. Okay, here we go. So we're going to go ahead and finalize that. The one thing I want to see is that previous page. Let's see what her hair is like. Okay. Yep, that's all I needed. Just a little quick glimpse of the hair. So right here, it's going to be like, wait, does it go behind the ears? I think it goes over the ears. Yes, over the ears. Sort of pulled back, but over the ears. There it is too. Okay, good. Okay. Her hair is sort of pulled back. She's going to have like, she has very curly, like interesting hair. It's like one of the her hair has just like this really, I don't know, it's just super cool to draw. But anyhow, that's going to be Elizabeth. We're not going to really see much of her nose at the angle she's at. We could cheat it and do something where we rotate the head a little bit, which I've done before, where you see that, but technically she'd be looking there rather than here if that were the case. So in this one, I think I want it to be more literal. Now we're going to have Robert. He's looking down, so we're having his hair here. Okay, he's going to be looking into his jacket with that nose that kind of hooks a little bit, hooks at the top. Okay, and then we've got his beard. He's got an interesting beard that kind of comes up to like his, there we go. Cool. So there's our Robert. He's going to be reaching into his coat, which is this coat, right? So hair kind of comes out a little bit on the sides. Oh my goodness, that's too much. Okay. Having too much fun here, you guys. Okay. And then this is going to be this goes behind his ear, which is going to be up a little bit. More like here, actually. Work it out. Work out that hair. He's got his this. Okay, this is going to be where the tie is. There's a, got it. The letter coming out. His hand is going to be reaching for the letter. This is going to be his, it'll be like that, but this angle. Got it. And that's going to be the coat flap. Shoulder is going to come over here, hook down. That might be too high, but whatever. I like it being high, though. I think that creates more tension in the back, so the back should be kind of there. Okay. It's more movement, you know? So here is the hand. Let's go back even further. There's the hand. It's going to be pulling the letter. There it is. Okay, that's a lot more interesting. Okay, and now we've got the coat center line, the letter, and then what do we have? This is like a monstrous hand. You like those big old sausage fingers I drew there? I do. I think I should sell sausage fingers. Just because. Why not? Okay. That was my sausage finger joke. I don't know if you guys ever catch that, but sometimes if you're not paying attention as an artist, you will find yourself, at least I will find myself, noodling some sausage fingers. Some good old, just wonderful sausage fingers. Okay, so now we have Robert, but he is kneeling here. So I'm wondering if that's like a standing pose. Where did we have him last time on the page? I need to kind of work out those hips. Damn hips. Okay, he's on one knee. That knee is his right knee. Got it. I think that was all we needed to see, except, oh, we want our thumbnail, but not our page. Okay. Right knee. So this actually would make more sense. Oh my goodness. Okay. This is actually going to make a lot more sense as a pose here, as opposed to not making sense if we have the right knee kind of coming out a little bit. So here's his right knee. It's going to be like, he's going to be like here, right? And then this will be the part that's like there. So there's his right knee. We're getting there, guys. Her chase lounge. My goodness, she's here. So her chase lounge should be. Okay. I think her chase lounge will be more like here. And then we're going to actually have. Should we have the dog in this shot? No. I'm just going to cheat it. Even though technically the chase lounge should be here. I'm just going to have this not have the chase lounge. It will have the fireplace that we had on the previous will be kind of in the background with some fire, and the clock, but we don't want to create too much tension there. So there's the clock, fireplace, gonna have a very like low angle, and then this is gonna have no dialogue. So okay, we have it all kind of worked. Frank said it's getting late for me. I'm getting up early. Bye all. All right, Frank. It was good seeing you, man. I look forward to hopefully chatting with you again, buddy. Sleep well. Have wonderful dreams. All right, so I'm gonna think like the light source is gonna be coming from behind. So we're gonna kind of make this work with like rim light. I want to highlight that action that's going on. Have our character here. Oh, that's a knee. Would be good to kind of clarify a little bit. And here will be the one that's down there. This will be the light source for the fireplace. Got our clock that was shown a little bit before. This is going to be the room that's just going to get ever darker as it goes up. Here's a little, this will catch a little bit of light, and then the rest of this just progressively get darker as it comes into the foreground. And we have a rough, ladies and gentlemen, of panel 1. These go so much quicker when all the research is already done. So now I'm not sure if I need that. I kind of do want to keep Robert up there. And I do want to move my thumbnail a little bit over. So there's panel 1. Panel 2 is going to be him holding up the. So here's the great thing about this. Oh my goodness. It's a repeated action from the same shot, like almost like a little 2-frame animation. So we probably can have it recycle a little bit. Using a good old animation trick. So here is going to be Robert. His head is going to be here. Oh my goodness. Up there. This is going to be like the sort of Okay. So I'm going to have him here. This is going to be him. I'm just going to get his head drawn real quick. Okay, so this is going to be him like excitedly kind of holding out the letter that he found. And that's going to be going back here. This will be the kind of cool Wolverine stuff. Cool beard, dude. Ears. Hair going over it. This will make sense in a little bit. Kind of like the idea of that. Okay. Now he's going to have his neck up, but again, we're going to size it to fit. So there's the rub there. So it's going to kind of scale to fit a little bit. The posture is going to change a little bit too. So worry not. This will make a little sense when we're done. The hand, I like the idea the shoulder drops a little bit, just a little bit. Shoulder is going to drop a little bit. He's going to have moved that arm up. Let's work on the shoulder in a second. So I want this to kind of move down a little bit. So let's do that. Shoulder moved up. And this is going to be the hand with the letter. Yes. It's a folded letter. And it's going to have fake text because we actually are going to describe plenty of what is going on with that. We'll get a little more meticulous about that fake text in a second, but for now, that'll be it. So if we're going to have that, we're going to have our cuffs a little bit showing, have like a little bit of the elbow here. And then I actually want to have the cylinder of his arm kind of foreshortened back here with like obviously a little shoulder there. So that's going to be what we're going to do there for that arm. And then the arm, again, like now we're going to have a little bit of tension with the jacket's going to come down a little bit. It's just a slight bit. And then we're going to have the this relieve tension a little bit because he's going to raise his arm a little bit. How many times have I said a little bit? And here, I'm going to want his hand kind of open and out. So like, there we go. Got it. Okay. Now we're going to do our trick. Our trick situation here where I'm going to get some of this erased out. Got some of that movement going. Oh. Love it. Okay. And then I do want to do a little bit of, oh my gosh, I can't stop saying a little bit today. It'd be funny if I asked chat how often I've been saying a little bit and people were like, well, a little bit. Okay, so here we go. We've got our thing here. And now it's going to be, again, just adding shadow and consciously trying not to say a little bit. Here he is holding up the Constitution of the United States, and I'm just kidding. It's a love letter. But it would be funny if he's like, "Hey, Elizabeth, I just drafted this really amazing document." And then it just becomes this ahistorical. That's going to be an on-running bit that I joke about on here. Also, that should be dark. Should be dark. And again, we're going to have like our light source sort of coming from the side, where now we have his hand. Cool. We have roughs. Roughs. Oh my goodness. I cannot believe it. Okay. Merge down. So now we have 2 panels roughed. This goes so much quicker. The only downside is this next one, it's not going to go so quickly. Talking head panels are relatively quick. This next panel, I think I kind of worked it out in the thumbnails, but it's going to be very hard for you guys to kind of see what we worked out on this page. Okay. So here we're going to need, I have Robert. Robert's going to be over here on the, Robert's going to be over here on this side. So I want my Robert reference there for when I draw Robert. Maybe I don't really need the rest of his stuff. I just need his costume and his head. Okay. So now we need a chase lounge and all the other stuff from the previous. Got it. So I'm going to go through this and see what we need. Do I need a chase lounge, and what angle? Do I have that angle of chase lounge? I think I might, actually. That might be the angle we need. And if it's not, we can kind of rotate it. It's not like a crazy detailed shot, but there we go. So now we've got our chase lounge. That's going to be helpful. What else, guys? What else? So now I'm going to go through and find other elements that we used as reference throughout. So got Robert, got our maid. I think I need the maid potentially. Oh, drawing desk. Is that going to be in this shot? The drawing desk may end up in the shot, so I'm going to go ahead and carry that over. Oh, it's the wrong thing. I wanted the drawing desk. Thank you very much. There we go. Oh, there we go. What the heck is going on here? Okay. Drawing desk. What else do we need? There's going to be a few other things in that shot. The drawing desk is going to be like a background element, so I'll throw it up here just for now. What else? Robert, the food thing, maybe. Maybe the food. The dog would be good. Okay, so if we have another dog, we could look up another dog, but I feel like we can kind of pull from the ones we already have. Okay, we've already gone through these. Do we need the fireplace? 100% need the fireplace. That's the one we were kind of sketching out. Wait. The fireplace won't be showing. That might be helpful though for the final on this, so I will leave that fireplace in here because that gives me way more detail to it than the rough. Okay, so we got our fireplace that we were kind of sketching in there. Great. Let's keep working through this. Panel 3, Cocker. Ooh, that might be pretty good for, let's see. That might actually be pretty good. Let's do that one. That's going to be in the middle next to Robert on the chase. So I'm going to have that like right here. We're going to put that right next to Robert. Possibly. We'll put it right here for now. All right. Now we're going to find more references from the previous page, which is kind of nice. It's nice that we've, like this is why it's good to save iterations too. You don't have to redo all the same research over and over again. Okay, Elizabeth, definitely good to have. This is our facial. There's a really good sculpture of Elizabeth Barrett Browning that we found early on, and this is pretty much the way I'm modeling how she's going to look. I really want her to have this appearance. Because it's like a flattering but definitely recognizable take on her. But she doesn't look like as, riddled with opium as I see in a lot of references. That's good. That's good, but I think we have that angle covered on our other, like the other page. The maid might be good to have. I really like having her reference because it definitely helps me keep that that momentum going. So on like the look of the maid. All right, so then we have our dinner tray and food. That I think let's do the dinner tray. The dinner tray is going to be one where I'm probably going to want to see that. The food, I think we've got the food covered because it was sketched on the previous. So I think we're very close to pulling all the references we need. I love it. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to pull my page. This is going to be close to the top. So I want my page here because we're not taking a very crazy far angle. Maybe I'll put it a little bit below some of the stuff. But I think there's an angle here. That's the one. That's what I want. That's pretty much the room that we're going to see it. And now we're just going to have kind of a different vibe of it. And then I'm going to get my thumbnail and put it over here. And I think we're good to start. So you know what's crazy to say? We're doing the same exact angle. It doesn't make a lot of sense to kind of redraw a lot of the background elements from the the previous rough. So we might want to actually grab some of that. And that can be our basis because it's pretty much that same angle. It's just going to have a change in disposition of the characters and stuff like that. But it's going to be that exact same angle almost. So much like animation, when it comes to the final, obviously a lot of this will be redrawn, but it just does not make a ton of sense to kind of recreate the wheel there. I love it. Okay. Now let's get that thumbnail, and I want it over here so I can kind of see some of the differences. So Robert's going to be standing her disposition is going to be a little different. The maid's going to be turning towards us. But again, like, I think it doesn't make a ton of sense to kind of reinvent everything in that shot. Except for Robert. And again, even Elizabeth, like, we have a good reference there to work from. So, okay, cool. That's nice. We obviously don't want to keep showing like the exact same sequence to people, but again, if you're going to draw something from an angle that's repeated, it doesn't make a ton of sense to, at the rough stage, like recreate the whole thing, especially when you need that exact same angle. Okay, so now we're going to do our roughs. Let's start with the maid, how I want the maid to be. Oh, never mind. Let's not start with the maid. Let's turn off all. No, let's start with the maid because we do want to do some dialogue here. Okay. Got it. I do want to turn off that desk though. I don't need to see the desk or the chase lounge. Okay, now we're just going to kind of work through this sequence and kind of figure out how to make it more appropriate. Okay. The dog at this point. Good. Okay. The dog at this point, we're going to draw the differences in cyan. Or maybe just to make it easier to read, maybe we'll do magenta for this. The dog I want to have here. I want him like really up in the middle of the shot. So at this point, Elizabeth's not going to have a ton of movement from where she is, but I want the dog kind of like right here. He's going to be having his he's going to have his paws out. This is a very large version of the dog. We'll scale it down. And he's going to be kind of sitting on the bed, like sitting on the bed, just kind of chilling. And his ears are huge. So we want to make sure those ears are there. And we're going to have him have like light that's coming from that, from both sides. Like, again, I think this mostly from the fireplace though. So, and then he'll have like kind of that going on. So there's our dog. He's going to be sitting sort of on Elizabeth's tummy a little bit. And we'll kind of adjust it from there. What is she saying in this? She's going to be saying, I could hardly manage to write. So I want her to have, her face is going to change a lot, but we have our dog first. So let's just do the dog first. It's a dog first world, guys. I'm going to erase out behind the dog. And again, like, Robert will make more sense in a second too. And hopefully I didn't just totally cut that from the page. Hopefully I kept the page as well. Page 8. Yes, I did. Okay, that's good. Okay, so we have our dog. Now we just need to do a little bit of adjustment here where, again, I want to do in magenta. I'm going to get Robert. Well, I want to do the maid actually. So let's get the maid's Elizabeth maid. Move her here. she's kind of doing like this whole sequence. The maid is doing a lookout out the window, but here Robert is referencing the maid as he's speaking. So I think it would be fun to have the background element of him, like the subtle kind of thing of having her kind of looking over. So here it'll be like more kind of like the maid's looking over. And here's her kind of cool hair. But she's going to be kind of looking over to him like, and then I want to have the hat kind of, that's going to have the black flower thing there. So there's the maid. She's going to be looking over. Should she be resting her posture a little bit? Like, that's what we're going to do. We're going to have her arm lowered a little bit because she's looking over to Robert as he's speaking. So her arm's going to be lowered a little bit. She's still going to have these big, awesome sleeves. Since her arm's lowering a little bit, that's going to change a little bit. And I keep saying a little bit. I apologize to anyone who's just like, stop saying a little bit. And here, here's going to be just her hand out a little bit. So not a little bit. Here's going to be her hand out. And then we're going to adjust that a tiny smidgen to get it over. I just said smidgen instead of a little bit. I didn't even realize till doing this stream today how often I say a little bit. Okay, we have our adjustment there, and I think that can work. So now I need to find where it is. Erase this out. We're just doing some really mild patch overs because again, it makes sense to. I'm kind of excited about the fact that that worked on this page because I don't often plan like patches to sort of make a page work. So okay, now we have our maid, and I can probably we drew the Cocker Spaniel, that can go. Where's her maid? We can get rid of her maid there. I just need to find the layer that I did the sketch on. There it is. Okay. Getting closer, you guys, to to 3 roughs. Now let's do Robert. Or should we do Elizabeth? I kind of think drawing Robert would be good here. So this is a completely new pose. He's going to be pointing to, you know what? Let's do Elizabeth first. I think Elizabeth will be a fairly simple patch as well. And then Robert will be the more complex. So Elizabeth, where is your sculpture, Elizabeth? Okay. Perfect. she's going to be saying, I can hardly manage to write. So let's change. And he's going to be standing, somewhat up here. So I'm just going to have that maybe here. So, and then she's resting back a little more. So here will be Elizabeth. She's going to be a little her head is back. She's focused. I hope this makes sense with the magenta too. We're doing this on a separate layer, so it just helps not have to reinvent. I want her saying this, but also maybe she's petting flesh. So her arms reaching over to her dog. And then this will be, I like the idea of kind of keeping that hand in a similar pose, but here she's going to be speaking to him. So her hand isn't in his hand. She's saying I could hardly, so it's going to be like a almost pointed wrist. She has the wizard sleeves of awesomeness that women in the Victorian era appeared to have, these rad wizard sleeves. And I think we're good there. So that'll at least cover that part of the situation here. Darker tones. Yeah, and as I'm doing this too, if anybody has questions or curiosity about like part of the process or what I'm doing, feel free to let me know in the chats. And I do take super chats. Often those don't come like sort of during night streams. They'll kind of happen during a day one, but it's always worth mentioning. Especially if you have something you really want me to talk about, that will definitely get my attention to kind of talk about it. As long as it's not saying anything that's like demeaning or belittling of other human beings, we can kind of basically I'll read aloud whatever is in the chats as long as it's following TOS. So let's see here. Yep, we're getting there. We are getting there. And again, like I wasn't even really concerned about like the sort of lower resolution of the previous one because like it really doesn't matter. The resolution for the roughs these are roughs, so it's just working out the page for the final. I think as long as I have a pretty clear idea of that, Robert will be gone here. He's going to be standing up too, so I'm guessing I'm going to have him standing up. Yes. Okay, we're getting closer. I can turn off Elizabeth and then we'll sort of see where we can go from there. Also, I should probably adjust that earlier thumb because we don't have two dogs here. I have one dog. One dog. Okay. And Gary said evening. Good evening, Gary. I'm using a similar angle, and I realized I can just kind of patch in for the roughs on that so that we're not like reinventing the wheel with the scene. So all we have left to do is the patch for Robert standing up. How is Dinosaurs versus Marsbots treating you, buddy? Okay. And we are at almost the 2-hour mark. I want to finish. I'm gonna force myself to kind of sit here and finish the Robert standing pose. So here I'm gonna have Robert kind of motioning to the dog and to Flush and to the maid, and he's gonna be standing up. So again, I have my costume pulled up. That's great. And now we're just gonna do a picture of him standing and see if this works. Okay, so do Robert. He's going to be saying, what is he saying here? I always think this too. I pictured you as you read it, brow furrowed, Wilson fussing, like I'm trying to think of the syllable we'll be holding, quite per. Okay, there we go. I know it's weird, but I'll read parts of the script. I think Gary's talked about this before too, and we'll do the same thing where I want to think about like the syllable that I'm going to be having a character saying. So here, again, with this, I'm not really worried too much about scale. I can scale things down if I need to kind of make them fit. This is just a rough. But this is him, basically, he's going to be saying, oh, he's concerned too. So actually, I want him kind of holding a U. So then we're going to have his chin. But this is going to be like a side view. I have his face. Gary said, page 11 is coming along. I'm committed to it being done before my next stream. Good job, dude. You are staying ahead of me, which is cool. I was joking with Gary that we're in a race and he needs to stay ahead of me. But in all reality, I'm a very slow cartoonist, so that shouldn't be too much of a challenge. I think you'll be fine, Gary. But just the joker in me was like saying like, oh, you should. Anyhow, so long-winded explanation of a joke there, which is always recommended. I've heard that that's like a pretty standard thing with if you're trying to tell a joke to over-explain it is really recommended. That's what I've heard from. Okay, so here's Robert's head. It's going to be sort of, and we drew that way out of proportion, but that's the beauty of Photoshop. Okay, so Robert is going to be here. He's going to be saying, we'll just kind of work through this. Okay, so now we've got like, he's going to have his high collar. That's like that Victorian high collar. And what posture? Okay, I did want like a movement like that. So I'm going to be drawing his, okay. And are we going to have him facing a little bit? Yeah, okay. So here's his sort of torso. He's going to be having his got it. Okay. Okay. And then we're going to have him saying here with his arm. Let's see. So he's got his hand out. He's pointing to flush. But he's not actually pointing to flush. He's just talking about flush, and his hand will happen to kind of gesture towards flush. So then we got I'm going to have him, okay, we're getting there. And then I want him, his other arm, what was it going to be? Oh, it's going to be kind of out. So we're almost doing like a, got it. Oh my goodness. So here's going to be his suit. Have him, this arm kind of there. Both fingers. Okay. There we go. And we're going to have, I know this is like a little hard to see with the magenta going here. Just want it to be there. And that will be him sort of, what was the placement? Got it. Placement's going to be here. Got it. Okay. And then we're going to have his hands. I want like that movement. So let's gesture the leg here. Have his pointy boot. And to sort of counterbalance that will be the okay. We're going to get there, you guys. We will. Okay. Okay. I think I have it sort of worked out here. Okay, so he's gonna have, I don't want that hat like overlapping his foot. So I'm gonna try to still keep that there. And I want this a little more naturalistic. There we go. Okay. So now we have a little bit more going on here. And let's go back to this. Get rid of Robert. And we can actually start doing some real stuff. Okay. So now the chase is going here. We've got like Elizabeth definitely here. We have the writing desk finishing itself off there. And then we have some sort of semblance of lighting there. Robert's going to be casting a shadow, like a fairly tall shadow. And we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. Maid's looking. Now we just need to add dialogue. Okay. So we're off. Okay. Let's get Robert's costume gone. I'm going to have... Oh my gosh, I want to kind of merge some of this stuff that is absolutely mergeable. So we're going to merge visible. All right. Okay, we have our thumb, we have our panel borders. Turn off my notes. And this is going to have, this is where we're actually going to work out and comp out type. So this is why it's great to kind of have a rough page as we're working out our type. And then again, we're almost at the 2-hour mark. So once I finish the text layout here, we'll have it kind of working. Okay. I pictured, oh, he needs to have the, that's why he had his hand out. It's going to be the letter. My goodness. My brain is like forgetting stuff sometimes, but that's why it's good to have a script. Okay. All right. Here we go. I'm excited about page 11, Gary. That's awesome, man. I hope you're making good progress. I know that like there's a Sasquatch that will come after you if you're not. Okay. So we've got okay. Right now, just temporarily, we're going to ghost this back just so we can kind of see. And then I'm going to have it say, I pictured you as I read it. Brow furrowed. Hand shaking. Spilling the ink. This is our rough, okay? So we're just kind of working out our type. I want it to kind of work out here. So now it's going to say Wilson fussing. This is why it's so good to have thumbnails, right? And then I don't like that. Okay, here's where roughs are great. I'm going to want to buy a little more space. for my type. And I kind of was composing it with that in mind, but then I had forgotten the paper. So there we go. Now we have more space for type. We'll work it out. Okay. Okay. Wilson fussing and flush quite perplexed. And the great thing is if you actually write these things out like very roughly, it'll give you a really good picture. Like I used to just kind of block it out or have like lorem ipsum or something. And I think actually writing it out allows you to kind of allot the space you actually need for it. Whereas I feel like a lot of the time, you'll have like a sort of insane difference between the space that you've allowed for in your layout and then the space you need, because the actual copy is going to take up space. I'll move that letter down lower again too. So that's going to be where we're at. We definitely want to make sure that we're kind of moving maybe Robert back a little bit and shrinking him down. So that's what I'm going to do. This has been helpful though. So we're going to move Robert back and shrink him down a little bit. He does look like a giant in that room at this point. So that might actually be better. There we go. That'll allow us a little more space. And now we have a rough idea of like where that type's going to fit in. Where's my type here? So we can do some fun stuff like this. Just for the thumbnail. So then we're going to have that. We can kind of fill in our territories here. Fill in the gaps a little bit. Again, this is the beauty of a rough, right? Because if this wasn't a rough, can you imagine having to like do a patch like that on a final? Like right now, it doesn't matter if it looks all sloppy and kind of crazy for me to get across like clear information. But can you imagine like if it were like a final and like suddenly I have to move something? It's so much better to work that stuff out now, you know? Let's also just correct her head a little bit. Oh. Much better. Okay. So we have our roughs. Oh, she's going to say, I could hardly manage to write. Okay. So let's get that taken care of. Okay. So again, I want to put this back to, okay. Oh my goodness, on that. I could hardly manage to write. It's going to be her there. She's going to have, that tail is going to go here. Always want the tail pointing at the mouth. And back to here, full born, and here. Okay, now we're going to turn off our thumbnail, and now we have 3 done. Look at that. Isn't that great? Very rough and abstract, but it's like it's giving all the information we need, and it's definitely giving more information than a like, I think this is enough information where like a publisher or my publisher will be able to roughly tell what's going on, you know. Do wonder what's going on with this, having kind of some of that scenario there. Okay, so I'm going to save, and then we're going to take a real quick break and continue to do roughs, and I think we'll get through this page. I'm very excited. So we'll save, and then I'm going to play, since we played the Jacob's Apartment trailer before, we're going to go ahead and play the trailer for my graphic novel that is already out, and you can order it on Amazon today, which you should do if you haven't yet. And here is the Christmas trailer for 2 Stories. Oh no, the trailer ran out. Got my coffee, got everything taken care of, but I still missed the mark a little bit. So apologize if there was a moment of dead air there. I'm curious if Gary's still in the chats. Like, it's funny, there's different parts of the process where I can totally have guests on and talk to them. Like yesterday when I was doing like flat colors, I'm like, I could talk all day while doing that. Making flat selections and stuff like that. Thumbnails, though, like this kind of thing, this is really hard. I think if it were my own script, it might be something where I could talk, have a guest on or whatever while I'm working on it. But when I'm thumbnailing, I feel like I really need to be in the zone and really focused. And so it's like hard for me to have full on conversations like one-on-one with people, other than just, you know, obviously talking to chat. I can kind of manage that. But when penciling, I can't. And then inking, if there were an inking stage here, I could do that and talk to people. So it's like, it's an interesting thing to me, like the things that I can multitask and then the things that I absolutely cannot. Okay, so now we're gonna pull up our thumbnail again, kind of get back into this business. This is, I don't know if Gary has this, but like whenever I get to a thumbnailed sequence where I'm like, dude, it's just going to be Robert's face. I'm like, yes. faces are fun and easy. I love them. I've intentionally avoided them because I don't want a bunch of talking heads, but every once in a while you get one of those face panels and you're like, yeah. Yeah, Gary said, I don't think I'd want to have a conversation while I'm thumbnailing. Yeah, I think if, again, like I've been able to do it with 2 stories, but that's like different because it's all in my head. Like I have it kind of worked out. So I can kind of do a little more back and forth, but um, I don't know. Okay, so what do we got? Thumb. Okay, let's get back to, let's make a new layer. And I'm going to pull up my Robert reference. Where was it? Robert and Robert. Robert and Robert. I don't actually know. Yeah, I probably, let's see. Yeah, we're going to see a little bit of the costume, so that's okay. We're going to have our Robert costume here. I'm going to have my Robert here. And then we're going to do a real quick. He is saying, when has the tyrant declared you must go? So he's got some concern. So that is what we're going to do here. Okay. And I want it to have some movement. I actually like my thumbnail there, so I think I'm going to just use quite a lot of that as the structure. What is going on here? Oh, I'm drawing in white. That's good. Okay, so I want this pretty closely pulled in to like him. I want to have him having a little, he's a little mad, but he doesn't have like a very strong brow. He has like eyebrows that kind of go like that. Might be drawing it too small. That's okay. Okay. It's going to be his nose, which has like a little bit of a thing there. He's got like very bulldogish kind of eyes. There's like it overlaps a little bit. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like got a fold over it. Anyhow. Again, I think I'm losing that. I might have started with eyebrows foolishly, a little too soon. That's okay though. You can adjust that. He's gonna have his mouth saying "wah, wah" like that. Okay. I am being a little too tight with my drawings here. You see that little, when you catch yourself doing that, like you're not drawing. You got to be like a little more flow like water here, okay? These are roughs, Josh. These are roughs. Okay, so we're gonna do his hair a little bit up here. I want to have it. Obviously, his eyebrows are not going to go that far. Oh my gosh. He's going to have his. There we go. Getting there. He's got like a very high hairline. So, all right. So there we go. And now we're going to get into some hair. Beard kind of carves off here. Wolverine chops going on. Ear back a little more. But I kind of like the rough, so I'm going to keep a little bit of that movement. And he's going to have his there we go. Okay. I actually think that works a bit. So hair is going to be dark. Light source is from behind him a little bit. So actually he's going to have a little bit of a rim light. Quite a bit of his, which actually works really well for like dramatic lighting. Like I think quite a bit of his lighting is going to be there. He's going to have dark beard going. All right. That was easy peasy. What do you guys think about that? He's going to say here, when has the tyrant declared you must go? When? Oh my goodness. Gary said, even though the drawings are bad, I think the decisions you're making when thumbnailing are pretty important. I want to focus on those choices 100%. When has the tyrant should be bold. Absolutely love it. I like the plan I have in the thumbnail too of having it kind of down here. So we're going to have this. Don't like that tail. Kind of wonder if the tail would be better. Yep. Tail will be better there. When has the tyrant declared you must go? And behind him, we're going to see a furnace. You know what? Just to like cheat it a little bit, why shouldn't we do that? Like the fireplace is literally just going to happen to be, we'll make it work. But I want the fireplace actually like right behind him when he's saying that, so that we're seeing like, you know, his anger. And it's I know it's a, that might be over the top, but I feel like honestly it's choices like that that are really cool in comics. And that's one of the reasons I really like. So there was like a globe here that we drew previous, so we'll kind of work that in there. And then there is most definitely the corner of the room here, which is going to have Victorian stuff. It has like that filigree, maybe even like a little bit of that. Definitely molding in the center, I think, of the room. But now we're going to get into here is going to be where there's a bookshelf here. Bookshelf. I love that idea. I know it's nerdy, but we're going to go ahead and go with it. We're going to go with it because how cool is that? Like, how often do you have that option? We have a fireplace in a room, so when somebody is a little mad when they're saying something, literally have flames behind what they say. That's badass. I don't care what anyone says. That like to not make that decision would be the dumbest thing I could do as a storyteller. When I have a fireplace and I have a scene where the guy's face is literally like where the fireplace would be behind him, like, oh man. See, it's moments like that that make me happy with storytelling. You guys tell me if that's insane, but I think that's pretty rad. You don't have that option a lot. Those little happy accidents of like, I mean, dude, he's literally gonna have flames behind him. That is so awesome. That I couldn't have planned that out. And that's why I love the rough stage and the thumbnail stage. It's little happy accidents like that where it's like someone will look at that, hopefully, and be like, that's pretty smart. That's a pretty smart move. Um, that's a smart move that was stupidly come across. Okay. And of course, the type's going to take up less space probably in the final, but whatever. I'm really excited about that nerdiness there. How cool is that? Okay. Guys, we're almost there. We are getting closer to there. Okay. I'm pretty excited. Okay. That is way too huge. I need to accommodate for that real quick because that is kind of ridiculous. Okay, that's a little huge. Let's make it a little more realistic for where it'll be. Do we want to have it kind of here? Yeah, we probably do. That's a little more comparable to the other type. Okay. That's okay. That's okay. I thought I was done with that. We're not. Okay. There we go. Still pretty happy with that decision though. It's little happy accidents like that that make me really enjoy the process of cartooning and also the authorship that you have as a visual artist. Like um and also I love the fact that I'm working with a publisher and a collaborator that aren't going to be like, "Oh, change that decision." Like, no, they'll support it, which is cool. So, that's what you want to be in. A nice creative situation with the creative individuals. Okay. So here we go. We're going to do our thumbnail. I'm going to move over here. That's really intense, but I like it. I think we're getting there. Okay. Elizabeth is going to have a lot of type and a head. We're going to do her eyes. So I definitely want to pull my Elizabeth ref. Let's see if we can find it again. Yes. And now I'm going to get back to here, to where I once belonged. I'm also going to consolidate because things are getting pretty chaotic here. So let's turn this off again. Let's consolidate our layers, guys. Merge visible. Okay. Now we're going to do this. Turn our thumb on again. Much better. Consolidating layers. All right. All right. And we have Elizabeth. Okay. So here I'm going to actually. Okay. I do think there's a way to do this classily. All right. Let's get this type written. And let's keep it small. Okay. As soon as possible. George has gone to take a house in Dover. Father says we must join him as soon as arrangements are made. Okay, and we were going to do. I kind of like the idea of this being the panel. So we were going to do almost like the close-up. Is she worried while saying this? She's worried. So this is going to be. Yes. This is a straight up pop art panel, but that's okay. I want a pop art panel on this. Anytime you do a tail, it needs to be pointing to a mouth. So even on this, like, I want the tail pointing to the mouth. I tend to think that's where a tail should point. Yes, some high drama, guys. Boom. Look at that. There's one little trick I might do to kind of make this work a little better. I know she's laying back, so the angle kind of makes sense, but I feel like that's a little better. Okay. Because we're also kind of then leading the eye down to the panel below it. So if I do the page flow, at this point we should be like sort of like this to like his hand kind of pointing there to this, right? And now this will give us a stopping point to kind of read like that. So I think we're getting there. Keeping that zigzag pattern, the lightning bolt. I think it's like, I don't know if there's a term for that, but it's definitely the reading of the lightning bolts. So where are we at on time? Oh my goodness, you guys. I need another step away break for a few seconds. So I'm going to play another real quick thing and save where we're at on this. It is looking like we're going to finish this rough today, which is cool. Very excited about that. I'm going to play the trailer for Jacob's Apartment, and then we'll come back and we'll knock out panel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So pretty exciting for me. Like I hope it's interesting for you guys too, and you're kind of seeing how this can be helpful compositionally, like setting up lighting, setting up acting decisions of your characters, setting up sort of the scenarios, having happy accidents like the fire behind him, as corny as that is. I think that works. All right. I'll be right back. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that on again. Here is the trailer for my graphic novel. That's a doomed romance story that comes out in June, on June 7th, from Graphic Mundi, and you guys should pre-order right now. Yeah, here you go. Speak clearly, it seems that only in dreams can we these things we've seen and walk around breathing things. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So here we go. We're gonna work on our thumbnail. I want to have Elizabeth. I, I have to pull up the previous rough just to make sure we're being consistent with costumes. So where's that previous rough? That should be here. Philip just said, hey there, Josh. I'm a little late hopping on tonight. How's it coming along? It's coming along okay. I'm about 2 panels to done with the rough, which is cool. That's what I'm kind of intending to try to do tonight. So I think what we're going to do is get Elizabeth. What was her costume though? That's the one thing I want to look at page 8. There it is. Okay, so it's got like a frilly thing, wizard sleeves, and more kind of frilly arm stuff. Okay, cool. Not frilly arm stuff, but that's good to know. Okay. So this is going to be a upshot angle of Elizabeth. I'm going to get the text in there real quick so we don't end up having to work too much. So the text is going to say, why? Oh, this is tough. Okay. We're going to have it say, why the devil now? Okay. That's Robert text. Okay. That's going to go here, up here. I'm looking at my thumbnail. My thumbnail's right here for reference. And I'm kind of thinking, like I have a birthday coming up next month. And I was thinking about like what I want, and I'm not going to buy like another guitar, even though that would be the go-to. Um, and I'm thinking that I might end up getting another monitor, like a second monitor, because right now, like at my work, I work on 2 monitors. Here, I work on 1, and honestly, it'd be nice to have like a second monitor, just so that I could have like chat pulled up here or something like that, and like have a little more going on than just everything colliding on one screen. Um, I don't know what you guys think about that, and if you'd have any recommendations on secondary monitors. Gary, do you work on 2 monitors? Philip, do you work on 2 monitors? Oh, Philip was just saying, I'm thinking about doing the same. Yeah, so I don't know because it might be more of a pain to set it up, and I do like simplicity. Like, I'm one of those people, even with guitars, like a lot of people like collect different pedals and stuff like that, and I'm like, I kind of just want like a distortion pedal and a clean. That's all I want. I don't want like too many options because too many options can feel really limiting to me. Okay, so we're gonna get into the type here where it says I have been puzzling over it. I have been puzzling over it. Such great dialogue. It's like I instantly think of like Downton Abbey or like I don't know. I'm a sucker for like Victorian dramas and stuff too. I grew up with like an English teacher for a mom, so like even Jane Austen movies, like I absolutely love anytime there's like a Pride and Prejudice or Sense and Sensibility. There's something great about that era, and I feel like my sister really nailed just some awesome uh, speech patterns. Like why did we not? That's a really that era kind of way. Go in summer when the heat was unbearable They're talking about eloping here, guys. Here. Gary says, I'm not sure I would use a second monitor for much of my workflow. It would end up being something I threw my music player onto. Yeah, my thought on the second monitor is just like, especially for like live streaming, it would be really cool to have one that's chats and one that is like one that's all the live stream stuff and like internet stuff, like for research, and then one that's like my main station for like Photoshop and stuff like that. And maybe I could even have my script on the other one. I don't know. That might be much, but I think it would actually work. Although it is nice to have chat. Like right now, I have chat like just in the bottom corner, so I can kind of look at it. I don't know. It's just something I'm thinking about. Do you think, man, my writing's very sloppy on a rough. Let's at least make it legible here. Suspects us. Can't have an orphan here. And suspects is going to be here. Like, that's going to be like, an unbearable will be bold. Okay, good. Now I want to have the do up here so that we can have this kind of nicely framed. And the neat thing is when I do this, I find that like, it's not always like perfectly accurate to the size of the final type, but it at least gives me an idea of like spacing and stuff like that. So, okay. And we're going to have this sort of move over a little bit. And then I'm going to have this here. I like that idea of like that being kind of there. I'm going to have, let's get this speech bubble kind of worked out with like some nice space in it. And this will help me with my placement of my characters, right? Much like Gary, I think Gary does this too, but it's like what I'll do after this step is like I kind of will work out the type and the panel borders next, right? And part of why it's so good to do this is now that I'm doing this, I'm like, I'm not leaving enough room for the composition that I like there. So this is my composition that I'm going to be using, where I'm going to have her in the foreground. It's a little bit of a low angle. So I want to have, we're going to have to split the type a little bit different. The catch is splitting up your type so you don't leave any stray single words. The next time you're roughing out a comic, just see, am I leaving any orphans or widows? It's like typography terms for single areas. And I'm forgetting what widows are. Widows are pairs, I think, that sort of complete on a different side. It's been a while. But anyhow, you want to make sure you're not leaving any single word. I think go and in are pretty short, so that'll stack okay. Go in summer when. What we're doing now is just stacking the type so we have more space for our composition. Okay. But I'm kind of curious about the second monitor thing. I wonder if it's one of those things like that I probably wouldn't end up using. And I don't like wasting money. Like that's actually a big part of being a cartoonist or a creative is like you have to kind of learn how to budget and live on a little less than a lot of people. Because a lot of people out there, they're gonna like spend money on like, I don't know, like a Disneyland trip or something like that. And it's good to do trips and fun things like that. But at the same time, when you're creative and you're budgeting time, you also have to budget a budget that will work with the immense amount of time. Especially if you're working on creative projects, it's like you have to kind of work with the creative time that you have. And the more well you budget your finances, the more time you have to work on art. Because I know it's cliche, but it's like time is money, right? So if you're like blowing money on a lot of stuff, then as a creative, at least for me, that means I have to freelance more, right? That means I have to take more paid work, like the really paid work, like the illustration stuff, on top of my day job. And it's like, so budgeting. I'm rambling, but it's like I think budgeting in general is a really good practice for people who want to do creative work, because again, you budget well, you'll end up with more time to do art, and that's the whole point of this thing is you want to make art. And if you want to make art that isn't just driven by commerce only, then yeah, like totally rambling, but so I wouldn't want to like an expense like that. I never really think of as like a huge expense, because again, it's like, it's part of business. Like you need it, but still, okay. I think that's enough to work with. So now we're going to do our Robert. Pull up my drawing. Well, not my drawing, my photograph of Robert. Get that down here. And here he's in a pretty extreme pose. It might be a little too extreme, but that's okay. It's at least a starting point. So here I'm going to have him. I like the idea of he's We'll work this out. Okay. What did I have? His arms back. That seems like a little too aggressive. I think I want to have. There we go. We're gonna have like a. There we go. Let's see, he's gonna have his I know another oh my gosh, why am I sketching? I'm sketching on like the wrong layers this whole time. I don't like the anger. There we go. That's more proper because if he's like not as if his eyebrows less down, then it's like a well, why? And then I like the idea of him kind of clutching. I think I had this idea of him clutching his gonna be clutching that letter. Okay, clutching the letter. Cool. There we go. And let's move this down. Okay, and then I think I want to have him even there. Oh, I'll move that in a second. Let's figure this out. Why the devil now could move over a little bit. And the tail, I want him a little more composed, like, yeah, more of an angle. It's funny doing these streams. I hope it's interesting. It's just I have a lot of talking to myself that I have to do when I'm doing these. It's always fascinating, you know. But that's pretty cool actually. I like that. So we'll use that. So again, he's going to have like this is a black jacket. Let's do I want to do a long tail. I also want to make sure we're getting kind of closer there. There we go. Long tail. Man, I am over noodling here. Okay, let's move through it. We have her here. With her kind of awesome hair. Cool ringlets that are going to be there. Now, I'm missing the angle. Okay. This is going to be interesting. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to grab this text, put it on a different layer so we can kind of focus on fitting that in a little bit after. I might have been too quick to try to kind of add the text. I want to make sure we're having, okay. So I'm going to just turn that off and we'll just focus on getting this really good, nice, more kind of dynamic sort of angle going. So I think this actually would work really well. There we go. So her ringlets of hair back here. Got it. Okay. And then she's going to have her there's like a frilly kind of thing here going on. We want to have it over there. Okay. There we go. And I like the idea of this being kind of a the wizard sleeve thing with okay. I think that'll work. Definitely have to do more of her hair here. It's going to be like a much kind of more dramatic light. A bit of her face. And then we're going to have type. Oh, man. I am making sloppy choices here. There might be a way to kind of make this work. We just have to do. I have been puzzling over it. Okay, I need to have him less here. Okay. Good. We're getting there, guys. I'm trying to kind of work this out. How are we going to do the text? Okay, here we go. Why the devil now is going to need to, I like it kind of as a beginning, so we're going to have to mess with this to make it work. One of the reasons it's great to do roughs is like to sort of like on a page like this that's like really text heavy, how am I going to make this fit? Right? Robert's got darker hair than that too. I want to make his hand less threatening. Makes much more sense. There we go. Hands less threatening. That makes it a less threatening kind of scenario. Because we don't want it to seem like they're in an argument. They're like sort of talking, but we also want to like intensify the drama, but also have enough space for this text. This will be the separation. I think we have it figured out, guys. Boom. Do you think he suspects us? Will be the last part. I'm going to cut that out. Okay. I have been puzzling. Haha, there we go. That's going to fit right in there. And so we're going to do our type bubble. This is half the fun of comics, right? It's like a puzzle. Do you could stack? Think he could stack? What do you think? Or maybe I didn't need to stack that. Wait a minute. I did need to stack that. That's going to go here. We are getting rid of this hand gesture here, which actually might be a good move because her hand being up is like almost a defensive thing too. And that's a little strange. So that works. Now we're going to have, do you think he suspects us, is going to be down here, couched right over here. Oh. That's going to go here. A lovely speech bubble there. Look at that awesomeness. And we've kind of worked out the rough layout. Aren't we amazing? Okay. Saving. We're going to turn off Robert's costume, hers. The thumbnail, we're going to turn off for a second. And I'm going to turn this off and we're going to consolidate our layers again. Merge visible. Okay. Layers consolidated. Now we just need Command S. We're going to get our thumb back. Thumbnail. Okay. So I want to do a little bit of background work here. So here is going to be, okay. This is going to be the roof. That's going to be the, where we see the thing. This will be the okay. This is going to be the writing desk. This is going to be the trim. This is going to be the painting. We're going to have the roof. Okay. So now we're going to just comp that in. Okay, and now we're going to just erase that out so we have some of that worked out. Haha. Perfect. You guys, we are really, really close. I am really excited. So there is literally just one panel left to go. And I didn't even misuse literally there. It's just one panel left to go. I hope you guys are hanging in there and rocking. I am really excited about this. As nerdy as it is, I'm liking the layout so far. I'm liking the very clear zigzag pattern of the composition. And now the last panel. But before the last panel, I'm going to show a trailer, and I want you guys to let me know whether you want the Jacobs trailer again or the 2 Stories Christmas trailer. Those are your options. I'm going to give a few minutes for anybody in the chat who has a preference to chime in. And then, Gary said, hey, glad you're making progress. That's it for me tonight. Good night, dude. That's awesome. I'm going to basically be on for like probably another like 30 minutes or something because I want to finish this last panel. But thank you, Gary, for hanging out. In that case, I haven't really heard much, so I'm just going to kind of put on the he said, I vote the Xmas trailer as I walk out the door. Nice, with a mic drop. Gary Hodges of Dinosaurs versus Mars Bots, which you guys should all check out. And you should see the hangout he did live stream on Saturday, which was really good and fun. And I was on it. We had like a really good conversation. And I enjoy those live streams. So I'd encourage you guys to be subscribed to Gary's channel as well. He makes great comics. All right. Okay. Christmas trailer it is. And Philip said he'll be turning in about 10 minutes. Totally understandable. All right. So here we go. Christmas trailer. And we're going to finish roughing out this page. Yeah. All right. I really am. Before I go, I just want to say I'm still enjoying the fact that there's a panel that just worked itself out magically where there's a fireplace behind somebody who's angry. I didn't plan it and it just happened. And I like that happy accident is gonna make my night. But anyhow, okay, here's the Christmas trailer. My goodness, that trailer is sure not long enough. Okay, so here we go. Last panel, last stretch of the night. Let's go ahead and see how much progress we can make. So I'm going to go ahead and put this here, and then I'm going to go ahead and put thumbnail under it. Just a little bit of white space under that. Philip was saying, I'd like to ask you something before you turn in. I'm more than happy, buddy. Oh, this is great. So we're just doing, okay, let's get the text kind of worked out here and go ahead and shoot me the question, Philip. I'm more than happy. All right. So we're going to have our text here, and then it's going to say, let him suspect, but what of our plans? It needs to say, but what of, and then our plans. Question mark. Okay, let him suspect, but what of our plans? And I think, I don't like that. I like it more if it's kind of centered here. And it's going that way. Philip said, not sure how you'd feel about this, but I was wondering if one night I could talk to you over camera. I'd like to talk to you about the process of putting a book like this together. Yeah, that'd be awesome, dude. Maybe the next time I flat color, I think we're friends on Facebook, right? So the next time I'm doing flats, if you're up and on like hanging out like around the same time as I'm streaming, like I'm sure we could have you on. That'd be cool. It'd be fun to kind of hear about your experiences in the art and stuff too. But yeah, I'd be more than happy to like field or answer questions. And Philip said I find it easier if I can actually converse. Yeah, I totally agree. No problem, buddy. So they will have to wait unless. So this is going to be they will have. Yeah, dude. Anytime. They will have to wait. Dot dot dot. Unless Robert, you must decide. But yeah, I think we could work that in. Like I said, I think from the test I did with just doing like when I'm at the point of flat colors, it seems like something where I can um, balance it a little bit. Robert, you must decide for both of us. Both of us. Okay. And this is going to be more of like that. This is going to be an interesting panel to see if we can pull it off. So I want it like this is Robert. Let's get Robert's reference. We don't want to lose it too much here. So where's Robert? Robert costume, not Robert costume, just his face. Okay. And then where's my, okay. What? There we go. He's going to be sort of like doing a woo with his lips. What? Yeah, but that'd be fun, Philip. I'd love to talk to you, buddy, and see what you want to know. Putting a book like this together is totally feasible, and I think one of my joys in life is like talking to people about how to kind of get into doing this stuff, and then hopefully trying to inspire people to like, make art that's like good stuff. So, this is such awkward framing, but I think it could work. So here it's going to say, but what of our plans? And here is going to be Elizabeth. Now we need our Elizabeth. Where are you, Elizabeth? Okay, Robert, and then we need our Elizabeth head. Oh, Elizabeth, you're up here. Okay, and then we're going to get back to our rough. Got it. Okay, we're going to have Elizabeth here. She's going to be saying, oh, we don't want to have that line. And then we're going to have her hair sort of there. Oh my goodness, we're so close to done, guys. I'm usually on here most nights. I know I wanted to ask about writing your own books, the process, and how you decide you're going to lay them out, etc. Yeah, I'd be stoked. I mean, I'm like I already have the script and a ton of the work done for Two Stories Book 2 as well, and so it's like it's one of those things of it's definitely something I consider a lot. There we go. And here will be, since it's a straight on shot, this is going to have the bookshelf again. In the background, and so we've got our desk, writing desk. And I think that's it for that background. So now we're going to have our lighting, which is basically going to be something like this. But yeah, I'm more than happy to talk about like the process of writing, how you kind of go about like plotting it out. For me, it's like I really find it beneficial to treat your comics like almost like an illustration. Like as if you were illustrating a kid's book or something, you know. But I can totally get into it and like talk about like some suggestions and stuff like that. More than happy. It's half of why I do these streams, is just to kind of like talk shop. And okay, so we've got, this is going to be more in the background, but he is going to have a little bit of a shadow on the front of his face, which will be interesting. So we'll see like more shadow going on there. And then, whew, you guys, we made it. We made it. We got through it. It didn't take that long. And now I have roughed out page 9. Oh my goodness, there's one other thing, one last thing that I really would like to add to my rough here, which would be a little bit of dimension to her face there. All right, guys. I think we have a pretty good map for that page. That's gonna do it for page 9, a really complicated text-heavy page. The great part is, I think what we have coming up is page 10, which is going to be a little bit more, but there's a little more action on that, so that's good. So we can get there. We can get there very easily. So we're almost at page 10. Page 9, I'm going to go ahead and save. And for now, I will say that's basically going to do it for the stream, which is kind of cool. I actually am going to get to have like a tiny bit of extra sleep, which should help to be able to like hit the grindstone tomorrow. If I'm not streaming, I'll be penciling. And other than that, I'll be on stream. So depending on what kind of ends up happening. Philip just said, well, I got to call it here. It's almost 4 a.m. Looking forward to chatting though. Yeah, I'd be more than happy. And again, like maybe we'll see. I'm hoping to stream tomorrow. If I'm not streaming, it's because I'm penciling. But by Tuesday, I should be like hopefully streaming. If I'm not penciling tomorrow, I'll be roughing pages. So Philip said it's looking really good, Josh. Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited. I feel like there's drama in it. I think it has that like thin, thick, short, middle, and then tall at the bottom, and it has a good like pattern that kind of leads you through the page. So I'm pretty happy with it. That being said, um, thank you guys so much who've watched this. I hope this was helpful for anybody like who's comping out stuff or like working on their own stuff, or just kept you company while you were working on your projects. If you haven't yet, make sure you've pre-ordered Jacob's Apartment and also purchased 2 stories. There's links to both down there. Both are available on Amazon, which is pretty cool. So if you have Prime, you get free shipping. I'd recommend with Jacob's Apartment in particular, talk to your local comic book shop or your local bookstore. And I'll be having a signing at a Barnes and Noble in Palmdale in about let's see, in July. It's on my website. So if you go to my website and look at events, I also will be appearing at Toronto Comic Festival, TCAF, in at the end of June, where I'll be like selling and signing copies of Jacob's Apartment at the Graphic Mundi booth. And you just keep an eye out because there should be events and different interviews and stuff like that added shortly. So that'll do it. Philip said I have to. I work a little late tomorrow, but I have Tuesday and Wednesday off. Awesome. Well, we'll make that happen. It would be fun. All right. With that being said, thanks. Oh, one last thing. Anybody watching this who isn't yet, if you're watching this on Twitch, make sure you're following and subscribed on Twitch. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you've subscribed and hit that bell so you get notifications when we're about to go live so you can join in on these. And that'll do it. I'll see you guys probably either tomorrow if I'm doing roughs or on Tuesday if tomorrow I decide to work on pencils. And then we'll kind of see how it goes from there. But thanks and have a good night, or I should say morning. All right. Sleep well, guys. Bye.